Just 24 hours after the Avs fall in a shootout on the road to the Montreal Canadiens to the Minnesota Wild, they come back as the Quebec Nordiques in the Mile High City and absolutely drub the Montreal Canadiens 7-2 is the final in the matinee. Two games being played at Ball Arena this afternoon and evening. Coming up next will be the University of Denver Pioneers against the Minnesota Golden Gophers, but the Avs in the early slate get a 7-2 win. 4 points from Brock Nelson, 3 points from Gabriel Landeskog, Marty Necas, and Nathan MacKinnon. And the Avs continue their winning ways. They continue their point-gathering ways. Now 25 games through the season. They are 18-1-6, 42 points, and 3 full games clear of Dallas in second place. They have an 840 points percentage right now. Their goaltending continues to be stellar as we welcome you guys into Between the Pipes. We'll have a special extended edition today. We'll talk first about this Montreal game, secondly about the Minnesota game from yesterday afternoon. Springer, if you guys heard him on 92.5, broke that game down with KJ Granderson as they walked you into what would be the final NBA Cup game of the season for the Denver Nuggets as they saw an 18-point home lead evaporate against the San Antonio Spurs. But we go back to the ice. Spring, they looked good in a really exciting game against Mini yesterday. They looked even better against a plucky Montreal team today.
Yeah, I didn't talk too much about the Avs Wild game last night. Again, if you were to look at the schedule and if there was one that they could have dropped, they were going to lose eventually. The Minnesota game was one you would have circled, and it took 65 minutes in a shootout to beat them on the road too. Tip of the cap to Minnesota. I find it interesting that man, I saw some of Jesper Wallstedt's comments after the game. He was like, we just beat the best team in the league. That means we're better than them.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, buddy. Hey. Look, good
the best team in the league.
Good win. This is why they play best of 7 series, though.
Right.
You got 2 points, and the Avs got 1 on your ice. Okay. The Avs are not going to win every game, and they fought till the bitter end in that game. And then, hey, look, Montreal, they won 4-1 in Vegas yesterday. Both teams get on a plane. Both teams come to Denver. And, man, you couldn't have told me that Montreal beat Vegas 4-1 yesterday. It was just right back to the status quo for Colorado. They looked amazing. When they're on their home ice, it's just so tough to beat them. I mean, so many guys just had great games today. We could start in a number of places. Raj, let me say this. I'll start here. I know Brock Nelson has the 2 goals, almost had a third, almost had a hat trick. Fans threw their hats onto the ice, but it turns out that it was Gabe Landeskog just nudging that puck in with his skate. 2 goals and an assist for Gabe. Since he scored his first goal of the season on 11-11, you made a wish that day, and if your wish was for Gabe Landeskog to get it going, let's see, 5 goals in his last 9. He could easily have 8 goals on the season. My Gabe Landeskog 30-goal prediction got off to a sleepy start, and it's probably not going to hit, but it's got life. I mean, the man looks great right now.
It certainly has life if he continues to stay on the power play. And the Avs power play goes 1 of 4 this evening. Now, the final 2 power play opportunities that they took in this game, they did not put the ones out there. They had the Malinsky Burns run unit with Ross Colton and Victor Olofsson and Brock Nelson on it. They ran that out for nearly a full 4 minutes in the third period. So the top unit goes 1 of 2, essentially for 50%. And one of those goals is Nathan MacKinnon quite literally trying to saucer pass a puck at Gabe Landeskog's stick. And what happens? He stands in front of Jakub Dobeš, tips it behind him. It was a goal that meant nothing for the game. But if he plays on that power play unit, there's going to be more of those opportunities to tip goals home. Now, I agree. There was a slow start to the season. He's going to have to get red hot in terms of goal scoring for you to hit that mark. But he looks so close to what we remember him being. And I didn't think it was going to happen this soon. I thought it was still going to be a slow burn, and maybe when the calendar turned, or certainly when everyone got back from Italy in the Winter Olympics that are coming up in just 3 months, that's when you were going to see Gabe Landeskog start to turn it on. The last 3 games, Gabe's back. That is the Gabe Landeskog I know, I remember, and I love.
The goal he scores yesterday is unreal. I mean, the fight
Yeah, gets hit in the face.
into the offensive zone, and then crashes into the end boards. He's hurt, or he's not. I mean, he's not hurt, but he's shaken up. Dusts himself off, forces himself up, and scores on a great McKinnon pass. And then the tip goal, the final one, the seventh goal when the extra point was good today. That's just vintage. And that's that net front presence that like really nobody else on this team, maybe Nichushkin, but not even, brings the savviness. And it's Nate. Nate shoots it wide, knowing that Landeskog is a little wide. He's just trying to hit it off of Gabe. Gabe's a human, uh, you know, dummy pad at that point, but he loves it. He thrives off of it. And then the pads pass to McKinnon.
The pads pass was so fucking sexy, dude. There is nothing that gets me more juiced up than a 2-on-1 perfectly executed pads pass. That was so sweet. And you saw how much Nate loved it too. Just kicks it back to his stick. And the first thing that he does, he turns to Nate, points at him, and smiles. Like, it's just a play that when it is drawn up like that, there's nothing cooler. I would rather score on a pads pass than a perfectly timed like backdoor 2-on-1 one-timer. I want a pads pass every time.
Yeah, when it's on purpose like that, and that was on purpose.
Oh yeah.
That's physics at its best. That is science at its best. Just angles and rebounds, redirections, savvy play by Gabe. He's so smart. So he's back. Brock Nelson is heating up. His opening wrist shot goal, when he gets space, it's tough. It's tough to stop that shot. And really the first couple goals of this game, it's a couple nice. I thought Taves and Makar had great games creating plays in the back end. Taves with a breakout pass for the Nelson goal. Makar with a breakout pass. First off, Taves hits Kiviranta in the neutral zone, and he kind of creates that play. It's Kiviranta, Lehkonen, and Nelson out there. And then Makar hits Ross Colton streaking forward. Then Brock Nelson gets it off of a Colton pass. Landeskog crashing the net. We know what happened there. I think that Makar had another breakout pass in this game. So, and Taves got his first goal of the season. And nice little play by Devon Taves on a little sauce pass from Marty Natchez. And Taves gloves it. That's heady to be able to glove that thing down. Look like I thought Natchez was the one who scored it, but it turns out it went off the Canadiens player's stick. So Taves gets credit for the goal. Both those dudes, top D pair was tremendous tonight.
Yeah, I agree. Devon Taves' ability just to get the puck back to the net was big. It wasn't a great pass. It ended up being, hip high there. So for him to glove that down, throw it back to the net for a chance to go off Matheson into the net. Matheson just signed an extension with Montreal yesterday. You know what? Montreal looked like they played in Vegas last night. And I know they obviously didn't stay overnight. I know those guys aren't, finishing that game and then going out because they're immediately getting on a flight. But it almost felt like a Vegas flu type of game on the second of a back-to-back. They did not have anywhere near the same jump I expected them to. And both teams had travel. You can make the argument Colorado had the worst of the travel, having to come from Minnesota down back to Denver, and just a very short trip from Vegas to Colorado for Montreal. But they're a better team. They're more physical, Colorado, than Montreal is at this point in their evolution. And what's very simple is the first goal of this game doesn't get scored until the 7-minute mark. And Mackenzie Blackwood had to make 2 grade A stops before that 7-minute mark. Not only does he not give up a goal until the second period, much like his counterpart Scott Wedgwood did yesterday against Minnesota, but he stood up early before Colorado started to take control of the game. And now I know they didn't take control of the game against Minnesota, certainly not in that second period. Kirill Kaprizov owned the second period yesterday. But that game was not going to be an Avs lead without Scott Wedgwood in the first, much like the Avs don't get off to the hot start, those back-to-back goals that Nelson and Landeskog end up scoring as Landeskog gets hit to the ice. That doesn't start without Mackenzie Blackwood being at the top of his game.
Yeah, he had a really nice movement save right to left on a Lane Hudson one
Yep.
timer. That was his best one. He had another one or two as well. And then he lets up his first goal in a long time, just coming off back-to-back shutouts. Um, and it's because Sam Alinsky kind of steps on him. It was their own player with goaltender interference. That's how Blackwood allowed his first goal in like almost 200 minutes or something like that.
173 minutes and 31 seconds. It's the longest shutout streak of his career. He had 171 and 37 set back in 2019-20 when I assume he was a Devil, is my guess, back in 1920. Was he with the Sharks already?
Yeah, no, that's Devil's territory right
It's
there.
the third longest streak in Avs history behind a pair of Patrick Waugh runs that were 192 minutes or longer.
And it's fifth overall pick, Ivan Demidov scoring it. I mean, he only scores because Malinsky kind of impedes Blackwood. And then the other goal he allows, it's a power play goal where it's one of his own penalty killers screening him. Might have been Kiviranta. Either way, Lane Hudson is able to beat him there, and the game's so far done at that point. It doesn't even matter. Here's is it his job now? Is Blackwood? We've talked about this before, but
keep ham and egging them. I want them to treat them like they're peewee goalies right now. You play every other game, and that's the rule because both of them played well. Like you can't look at
I'm with
Scott
that.
Wedgwood yesterday. What did he stop? He stopped 35 of 30. Were there 37 shots?
He was
on goal or
excellent
41?
yesterday.
He was fantastic. He was just as good as the hottest goaltender in the league right now, and that's Jesper Wallstedt in Minnesota. They were both equally as good yesterday. So I can't look at Wedgie and go, "Hey, you're the backup again." I just go every other game with those dudes because they're like it's very clear they're enjoying it. And I think it keeps them both fresh, and the team is comfortable playing in front of either one of them, which is something I think you need to continue to instill just in case something crazy happens in the postseason where you're not with either one of those two guys, that the team can just go, okay, he's our dude. Those habits and that comfortability is created during an 82 game season. So when you have the people who go, oh, it doesn't fucking matter what happens in a regular season, I'm so bored with 82 games, you have to look at the minutia of it. And this is part of that minutia. Before I move on, I just want to make sure I give credit. Brendan McNicholas, all those stats that I threw out about the shutouts, that's Brendan McNicholas with the Avs. Keep ham and egging them, Spring. Don't change anything that you're doing.
I agree. Every other start until further notice.
You guys are 12 years old again. Every other start.
Yep. Snip, snap, snip, snap. Just, back and forth. And until one of them has, and it for me has to be because they've both been so good. You really can't look at it as one bad start and then, no, like give them each a leash.
Yeah, it's got to be a couple of stinkers, right? Or a couple of games in a row where like the offense very clearly bails you out. It can't just be one off night. It's got to be a couple in a row.
Keeps them both fresh, particularly Blackwood for the stretch run, because I do believe he's your guy, game one of the playoffs, unless something happens. Wedgwood's earned it, and like you said, they like each other, they get along, they root for each other. So yeah, I'm with you. So that would mean Wedgwood Tuesday night against the Canucks. Gosh, in what universe does Vancouver win that game?
That's such a disappointing group. When that all started all those years ago, man, like they're going to lose Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes doesn't want to be there. He very clearly wants to be in New Jersey with his two brothers. He still has a couple of years left on his deal. So if Vancouver knows what they're doing, they trade him now so that you get more value back on Quinn Hughes. You get this year and the following season before he inevitably leaves the team that he gets traded to sign a deal to play alongside Luke and with Jack. You have to move on from him, and then you're stuck with what, like Elias Pettersson, and that's it. I know he scored a cool goal last night, but that dude is the most overrated player and overpaid player in the National Hockey League. This side of like Matt Dumba or Darnell Nurse. Sorry, Darnell Nurse, not Matt Dumba.
Their one regulation loss was on the road in Boston. You want to beat the Avs in regulation, and a team like Vancouver, let alone beyond regulation. Good luck. I mean, this team is going to be incredibly difficult to beat on their home ice this year. And for the vast majority of the league, they're still going to be very difficult to beat on the road as well. So, I mean, I can't see how it's not 19-1-6 going out to the East Coast. I mean, the Avs, I'd put that as like minus, that might be the, and Vancouver's respectable, but I'd have that as your highest. We've seen some like minus 350s on money lines. I think this is your first. I would go minus 400 on this thing. Like I think Vegas is like minus, they're like approaching minus 400 hosting San Jose tonight. There's just no universe where the Avs lose to Vancouver on Tuesday.
No.
Not the way that they're rolling right now, the way that they're locked in, and they feel Dallas right behind them. Dallas had a comeback win, of course, and they're
Dallas
nice.
is playing great, dude. They're playing awesome hockey.
They are. And so they were 4 points behind you coming into today. Now the Avs extended back to 6. Every single game matters right now. They're not going to take Vancouver lightly. It's Adam Foote coaching on the other side. He'll come back to Ball Arena. Wonder if he gets an ovation. You should. You should.
Guarantee. He'll get something very similar to Patrick Waugh. He is a very loved player, as he should have been. That dude was awesome to watch play the game. He is a very, very kind human being. I've been on benches with him in the youth game multiple times with our time that crossed over with the Thunderbirds. He's an awesome guy, and the fan base will give him a massive ovation, and then his team will lose. Colorado, a possible 26 points in the month of November, 24 of them.
Yeah.
They did not lose a regulation game in the month of November. They secured 24 of a possible 26. That's absurd.
They really don't have. Yeah, they really don't have a single game. Now, look, there's a couple that could trip them up. Like one of these 4 on the road.
Dude, they have the same like middle of the day back to back.
Again, it's like every weekend this season. New York, Philly next weekend. And here's the thing, like New York, the Rangers are the toughest opponent in theory, and they've been terrible at home this season.
Yeah, they can't score at Madison Square Garden.
The Islanders might be the tough. The Islanders in Philly are respectable, but you open in New York, so you're freshest for the Islanders game. Maybe that back-to-back in Philly is a little tricky if it goes to shootout. If that game goes to a shootout, Trevor Zegras, look the fuck out.
Yeah, you'll lose that game if it goes to a shootout. Between Zegras and Michkov, you lose.
But there's no doubt the Avs are better than Philly. Philly's just lucky that they'll be catching them on game 3 of the road trip and the second day of a back-to-back. So maybe that trips you up. I don't know. They host Florida when they get back, but Florida's down without their 2 stars. At Seattle, Seattle's getting routed by the Oilers at home right now in Seattle. I'm looking at Sunday, December 21st in Minnesota. That's the next game. You're
going to overlook the Winnipeg game?
Oh, yes. Hellebuck's probably still out. How long is he out? It feels like he's out a while.
Yeah, he had arthroscopic surgery 2 weeks ago, and that timeline is between like 6 and 8 weeks. So he's gone until the new year.
Winnipeg's on the verge of falling to 500. I look at Minnesota. I mean, and hey, enjoy that win you got yesterday, Minnesota. Enjoy that. Cuddle that thing. Rock it to bed. Pet it. Caress it. Because you're not going to get everyone against this team. You are not. So, I mean, will they lose between now and the December 21st Sunday game in Minnesota?
It's a back-to-back game for Minnesota that day, Spring.
It's what?
It's a back-to-back. They host Edmonton at 1 p.m. the day before.
Good. And hey, look, Minnesota, they got to, I don't know. When did the Avs fly out to Minnesota? Because Thanksgiving was the night before.
I think they flew out Thanksgiving night.
Okay. Whereas Minnesota got to eat the Wild got to eat Thanksgiving dinner with no thought of having to leave. Very easy for them, a little more difficult for Colorado having to fly out Thanksgiving night.
Yeah, they're going to win a lot of hockey games in December. I don't know. If I have to choose one of the games for them to lose on the road trip, I think they have a chance of losing the one at New York, at the Rangers rather, on Saturday. I think that's the most losable game. You would be staying in Manhattan, coming off of what I hope is a win on the island against Patrick Waugh's squad. You go out, you have a really nice dinner in New York, maybe you kind of party it up a little bit too much considering you have an off day the next day and you won't have to travel. You're staying in the same spot that you're at. Like you don't stay on the island when you play the Islanders, you stay in Manhattan for that full trip. Maybe that's the one that I could see them being a little sluggish for. So I'll choose that. I think they win 3 of 4 games on that 4-game East Coast road trip, and I think they lose the one at Madison Square Garden just because you know what? You're feeling yourself, treat yourself.
I mean, there's really no reason it can't be 4-0. I guess the Philly one kind of concerns me the most. Philly's been sneaky. And it's the second of the back-to-back, but man, I mean, this could be 4-0. Either way, it's and let me look at the Stars schedule. What is Dallas? Because that's what it is. That's where we're at. Is who can keep pace? Who is gonna flub a game that they shouldn't? Who loses 2 in a row? You lose 2 in a row. That's not good. In this little battle for the 1 seed and really the President's Trophy, that's what it's going to be. Let's see. The Stars host the Senators tomorrow night. Ottawa's Brady Tkachuk is back. They just lost in St. Louis, but they're near the top of a tight Atlantic Division at the top. Then they're at the Rangers, and then the next night they're at the Devils.
You likely drop one of those 2 games. That's 3 games in 4 nights that you mentioned. You're probably losing one of those 3. I'll say it's the second of the back-to-back against New Jersey. New Jersey's the better team. I know they don't have Jack Hughes because he broke his hand on or sliced his hand on like a broken glass or a knife or something, and he's wheeling and dealing Tate McRae, so good for him. Yeah, they've got a bunch of winnable games. The home games against San Jose and Pittsburgh for Dallas are winnable games. The away games at Winnipeg, winnable. They've got a tough one at Minnesota. Pardon me, had to sneeze. They have a tough one at Minnesota 2 Thursdays from right now on December the 11th before you host Florida. And that's a game that might be trappy because you're looking at the defending Stanley Cup champions. That Minnesota game, maybe you overlook the divisional opponent. They're going to continue to win. Dallas is a really freaking good hockey team. I think Dallas is the second best hockey team in the National Hockey League. And I think as of right now, Minnesota is a top 5 team. And it's guaranteed that 2 of these 3 teams will be out of the playoffs by the time the second round is done.
Could you imagine? I mean, this is what you want. You want Stars Wild first round.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's what we're headed towards. You look at this Stars schedule, it's very similar to the Avs schedule. And it's a lot of in the fact that these are the 2 best teams in the league. So most, if not all, their opponents are very winnable. Both Colorado and Dallas, like both have an at Minnesota game coming up. The Stars are at Minnesota on the 11th. The Avalanche at Minnesota on the 21st. And then those are the 2 games that because Minnesota's good. They are good, but I don't think they're quite on Dallas or Colorado's level. Yes, Minnesota wins yesterday. Not on Colorado or Dallas's level. So if you get the 1 seed, you stay ahead of Dallas, you force a Dallas-Minnesota first round matchup, that might be 7. That's at least 6. Whereas the Avs could go, you hope, no more than 5 against whoever they draw.
Yeah, you're hoping the 8 seed is at this point, you hope the 8 seed is Utah or does Edmonton somehow miss the playoffs? I guess one of the 2, Edmonton and Toronto, I know they're in different conferences. One of those 2 teams is likely missing the playoffs.
I'll go Toronto. I think Edmonton ultimately makes it.
I agree. They always do this.
They're
weird,
up 4-0 in Seattle
Bengals
right now.
thing.
A little bit of a get right game for the Oilers today.
Yeah, they feel Cincinnati Bengals-esque. I'm not saying from a success standpoint because the Oilers have far more team success than the Bengals have had, but they're kind of a dumpster fire for the first month and a half of the season, and then they go on this crazy run, and you go, oh, look who's back in second place in the Pacific. It's Edmonton again. You're hoping that it's Utah, it's San Jose, it's Chicago. You're hoping it's Winnipeg, something like
Seattle,
that.
the LA Kings, even the Ducks. Like, I really hope it's not. Even though Vegas has lost 4 in a row and Edmonton's 500 essentially. I wouldn't, if one of those two teams somehow, it's a long season. Vegas and Edmonton can easily get it going and rise into the top 3 in the Pacific.
You want those two teams to have to go through the Pacific.
Yeah. Yeah. If that would be kind of a kick in the nuts if you got the 1 seed and it turns out Vegas or Edmonton was the 8 seed. Now the Avs still win that series, but it would be a little grindy. Even though they swept Edmonton a few years ago, I get that. But still, it'd be a little grindy. And they just kicked Edmonton's teeth down their throat 9-1 still. I'd rather it be a team you would more traditionally see as the 8 seed, while Dallas and Minnesota just have a bloodbath in the first round.
Yeah, that's what you hope, man. We'll have to see. That's
what it's gonna be, man. It's gonna be 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
I think Colorado 1, Dallas 2, Minnesota 3. I think we're seeing a little bit of now we're just past Thanksgiving. We're starting to see what it really looks like. That's what it looks like. Those are the 3 best teams in the Central. They might be the 3 best teams in the West right now.
They're the 3 best hockey teams in the Western Conference right now. Edmonton and Vegas could get it together. Those are the 3 best teams in the conference. And because Gary Bettman's an idiot, it's guaranteed that 2 of the 3 are gone before the Western Conference final. Guaranteed. And that sucks. Now, I understand there's only 2 teams remaining in the Western Conference final, but you can't have both of them you're likely not having both of them get there unless someone falls into a wild card spot that is opposite Colorado. It sucks. And that's why it should go back to 1 versus 8. I don't believe that it's funny because it won't affect the Avalanche this year as much as it'll affect Dallas and Minnesota. I think it greatly benefits the 1 seed in the conference. This current type of format. But I believe that having a good, not really, really awesome Western Conference season from one of these teams is not nearly rewarded enough, right? Like if Dallas puts up 112 points and finishes second to Colorado and they have to go through a Minnesota team with 108 points, it's a travesty. I would hate that as that fan base. So again, it's the reason why you persevere for the 1 seed in today's NHL. Spring, let's put it on hold. Let's go back out to Ball Arena where D-Mac's standing by.
Hey, guys. Cool game today. Really cool game. And Jared Bednar said afterwards the resiliency of this team and the determination was put to the test 3 games in 4 days. And what an ass-kicking today, seriously. Said Gabe Landeskog is kind of was slow on his skates at the beginning of the year and has found full form. And now some of the breaks are going Gabe's way, as even Gabe acknowledged that, things are just feeling better. He's on power play 1, right? He's getting deflections. I mean, he's getting his body hurled at the net and the puck goes in. He's getting credit for it. It was a funny moment because Alan Roach did announce that the goal went to Gabe, not Brock Nelson, and then Nelson scores again, and a bunch of people who weren't paying attention lost their hats for no good reason. But in a 7-2 butt kicking of the Canadiens, after a really ferocious game where Bednar admitted Marty Necas wasn't really on point as much as he would like him to be. He'd like Necas to shoot a little bit quicker, thought he was a little bit better. Huge praise for Blackwood, who admitted after the game today that, he is seeing things better, feeling better about things. It's just flowing better despite, giving up a couple goals, but, kind of who cares in a 7-2 game. And Blackwood did admit there's a friendly competition going on with him and Wedgwood about, one being better than the other. But, I mean, it is a crazy problem, first world problem to have for the Avs to have 2 goalies playing this well. Meanwhile, Nathan McKinnon, I don't know if you could tell or not, but was actually under the weather and feeling a little bit sick. Couldn't really tell. I mean, it was an awesome game, fun crowd here. People are getting pretty hammered over on the weekends, having a good time, and in a very quirky situation too. The Avs were packing up their bags. Usually, you pack up the bags when you're, getting on a plane and you're leaving for a road trip. No, the Avs are playing home on Tuesday. DU is coming to play, and this is quirky. The Avs are clearing up their gear so DU can have their locker room. It's like, hey, I know we're the best team in the world, but let's get our crap out of here because we have college hockey later at Ball Arena, and that's the case. So, and the Fate of Ophelia is still the theme song, guys. The Fate of Ophelia by Taylor Swift is blasted in the locker room. I didn't know if that would be like, we lost our winning streak sort of thing, but we win games, we play Taylor Swift. Back to y'all.
Typically, win streaks do stay the same the entire season. So I would assume that T. Sweezy is played throughout Ball Arena and visiting arenas throughout the rest of the year. Yeah, weird situation where DU's playing in I think it's the USA Hockey Hall of Fame game where they'll host Minnesota. I see Chris just asked on YouTube, who do you guys have in tonight's game? Denver is the national championship contender, and Minnesota won't sniff the tournament. Denver should handle the Gophers tonight. They're a way better hockey team. They are way more upperclassmen led, and they're younger players, despite it being Minnesota, right? And what you think about the Golden Gophers, Denver's younger players are of a higher caliber right now. They should, like, if I'm betting the goal line, I'm taking Denver -1.5, and I'd probably even push it up to 2.
Yeah, I did peek at this thing today. I was curious. And I don't know much. I know that DU's the defending champs, and they're the 4th ranked team in the country. Minnesota's not even ranked. They're traditionally pretty solid, but they're not even ranked. And you're telling me you're not getting double wins at Ball Arena today? You're
getting
shocked.
double wins. Yeah, we know the middle stats don't play very well at Ball Arena, and Casey's younger brothers are both Golden Gophers. So
that's why I rely on you, Raj. That's great.
That's why you guys listen to Between the Pipes. Nuggets like that.
That's good stuff right there.
What were we talking about before D-Mac came on?
We were talking about the top 3, not only in the Central, but in the West, and for that matter, probably all of the NHL, because I'm not a huge fan of the Eastern Conference right now. And speaking of the East, here's another thing that I was thinking about just before D-Mac came on. Wasn't Val Nichushkin a full participant in practice the other day?
I don't know if he was full. I know Kiwi was full before he came back. I don't know if Nuke ever got full, but he is incredibly close if he's not.
Jesse Montano tweeted 2 days ago, Val Nichushkin is a full participant in practice today.
There you go. Yeah, if Jesse said it, Jesse saw it. Jesse's the best.
Yeah, you trust Jesse Montano and Evan Rawal and of those of the like. I don't know if you need
like either a national award or like a state award.
The Colorado Sports Writer of the Year.
Heck yeah,
is what Evan is up for.
Evan's dope.
I don't know if you need Nichushkin Tuesday against the Canucks, but
you need him on the roadie.
If he can make that road trip, holy good night. I mean, that's exactly what the doctor ordered right there. And it's funny because, Landeskog is now a top 6 guy. And, D-Mac talked about Gabe. And another play Gabe had was the face-off win from Brock Nelson that goes back to Brent Burns. And Landy, little screen. It's just a little plays. Landy, he's a top 6 guy to me now. So I think Ross Colton, who has been great. I mean, Ross was part of the first Landeskog goal that we initially thought was Nelson's goal, the weird Josh Anderson pushing Landeskog. It was all the way the correct call. A terrible challenge by Marty St. Louis, to be honest with you. That's a hope and a prayer. I don't know how you look at that and don't see that Anderson pushed Landeskog into the crease. I don't know how you don't see that. That's you're playing Colorado and you're taking a chance that you're somehow right on your challenge.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're going to take a chance, you take it right now when the power play isn't as good as it could be at some point down the road. Like, I know they're getting better and they're slowly climbing the power play ranks among the NHL. if I'm Marty St. Louis, I go, no one knows what goaltender interference is anymore. We've seen things far less interferency call goals back. And we all know that Gabe Landeskog is, for some reason, a voodoo doll when it comes to disallowed goals this year. So if I'm St. Louis, I kind of like the challenge. You go, the Avs power play is not very good right now. I could have a chance to keep us in this game where, like, he's the head coach of his team. He knows when his guys have it and when they don't. So anything you can do to push the right button, I think it was I think it was this is our only chance to stay in this hockey game. And even if I'm wrong, we were probably going to lose anyways.
Sure. I don't disagree. But back to my original point, Ross Colton involved in that play. That's a good play by Ross. Ross has been great, but guess what? When Nichushkin is back soon, I think we're right back to where we started. I think we're right back to the lines that we saw down the stretch last year in the playoffs when Landeskog returned. And to start the season, I think it's the old second line. It's Nelson, Landeskog, Nichushkin. And Ross dips down to third line with Drury and Olofsson.
Sure.
And then Kelly, Kiviranta, Bardakov. Am I missing somebody? Who am I missing?
O'Connor when he's healthy.
Of course. Guess there's a little setback with him.
Yeah, he was expected to be back kind of right around now. But I guess you want to be careful with the hip surgery when you're playing this well and you don't necessarily need him, right? For a guy who has had lower body injury issues dating back to his time in college. Like, this is something that OC has and OC will always have, is some issues with knees and hips. So I'm not rushing that player back, knowing how important he is to the penalty kill and to the bottom six, certainly in the postseason.
Mm-hmm. And given how Bardakov's played well.
Oh, Brindley's the other guy that you're missing.
Yeah, but I'm assuming Brindley's not back for a couple weeks at least.
Yeah, he says Bednar said O'Connor and Brindley are not close.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
As of today.
But I'm assuming Nichushkin's flying out east, and he's playing in that Islanders game. And if it's not the Islanders game, he's at least making the trip, and he plays at some point on the trip.
Yeah, they're going to continue to get better, man. I mean, I firmly believe that record that Boston set a few years ago is, I don't think it's something that they're like eyeing. I just think it's something that could happen. I think they're eyeing the number one seed in the Western Conference because it means so much. And if you set an NHL record and you win a President's Trophy in the same time, that's just the way she goes. But your team goal right now is one seed in the West, one seed in the West, one seed in the West. And then everything else happens after that. If you happen to set records, if you happen to win trophies, if you happen to win individual awards, that's awesome. But obviously the main focus for this team is postseason success, and postseason success starts with setting up the best or easiest possible road to a championship, because we all know if you have to go through the Central Division, hasn't really worked well for the Avs in the past. You know when it did? When they were the one seed and they didn't really have to go through. I know they get a Central Division opponent in that playoff run, but you didn't have to go through the beasts of the Central. You went through a purring little kitten in Nashville.
I guess here's another thing that I'll talk about here, since we like to give you guys content. It's not pressing to me, but I'll bring it up. Did you see that our Spreaker account got some extra views?
Oh yes, I saw that Michael Russo took umbrage with Connor McGahey. I'm assuming this is what you're referring to. Michael Russo, who is he's a writer with The Athletic, if I'm correct, for the Minnesota Wild, on the beat out there, and is a very staunch Minnesota, as you should be as the
he seems to do a good job.
I
see his tweets pop up every now and again.
And the reason why it got such a big run is people were getting upset about how Connor McGahey called Jesper Wallstedt's celebration of he won the Stanley Cup and he didn't. Colorado's still the best team in the NHL. They were calling McGahey's play-by-play at the end of the Minnesota game homerism and tone deaf to how good the game was. And if you were listening to the call, you guys know Connor.
Oh, that's not the
He's
first time that he's said that somebody has celebrated like they won the Stanley
right.
Cup, but they haven't. I've heard him whip that line out multiple times.
Yeah, Connor is a hometown radio play-by-play guy. And a lot of people go, "Oh, the announcer should be put down the middle." And I think that is true of national broadcasts. You should be a 50-50 split right down the middle if you were a nationally broadcast game. If you're a home broadcaster, I would prefer you to be heavily leaning toward your home team. Um, if you're not a fan of that team, don't listen to that broadcast. And if it
Yeah.
puts your feathers in a ruffle, grow some thicker fucking skin. I thought it was weird that John Buccigross retweeted Michael Russo's quote tweet of the altitude account. I thought that was Bucci knows better than that. That was weird, and I think that added some gasoline to the fire. I don't think Buccigross should have done that.
I didn't realize that Buccigross retweeted that.
Especially
Obviously,
as a guy like Bucci's no longer just a Sports Center host. He's in the play-by-play brethren. So I think that was bad form from Buccigross.
I agree. I'll say this. I have not once ever thought to myself, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go really primarily just even straight up listen to an opposing team's radio call. It doesn't interest me at all. Certainly more so than that. Now I could find some interest in that, but if they're going to be heavily leaning towards their home team, which I know some don't, most might not, even if they were, I'd get a kick out of it. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. I'm seeking that out on my own time, and the content isn't even for me. Like I said, I don't even do that. I certainly don't go after the fact to listen to the highlights to see what they said. Like, what? Like, I don't know, man. I don't want to be rude, but touch some grass? Like, because I've never been compelled to do that. Man, like, if you're like, regional sports is not what it once was. RSNs are not what they once were.
Yeah, no, they have hardly any power compared to the 90s.
You are catering towards the hometown fans. And there are a lot of emotional fans watching or listening to these broadcasts. So to tap into that, to develop a community where it feels more intimate, yeah, that's what it should be, actually. So
and Connor can be
chill the hell out.
Yeah, Connor can be a very emotional play-by-play announcer, and I think that comes through when the Avs are either not winning or not playing well, or if there's times where Connor's very clearly not a fan of the shootout, and he's very clearly not a fan of like how 3-on-3 overtime is played in terms of like holding possession. And I agree with him on both of those things. So when the Avs lose a game in the shootout, he will, much like me, like you guys listen to this show all the time, you know that my thing in the regular season is just get a point. I don't give a damn what happens in overtime, and it doesn't matter what happens with the shootout. So if you get a point, certainly on the road against a good team, I go, that's a win. You did your job today. So Connor will take that and go, well, it doesn't matter anymore. He brought up the Drew Carey who's line. Points are made up, and it doesn't matter. And I kind of agree there. I find myself in the same boat as you. I don't go out of my way to listen to opposing broadcasts. Most of them will have a piece of homerism in them. If that homerism gets brought over to nationally broadcast games, then it's an issue. If it stays in your home market and you are just broadcasting to your region, that other people can just find a way to listen to, then be my guest. I'd prefer my home broadcasters to be like that. It's more fun anyways. Nobody wants a watered down. I'm not saying, because it's funny. I'm just going to use this announcer because he is well known. I'm not saying I like or dislike him. Actually, you know what? I'll say this. I love Joe Buck. I've always loved Joe Buck. But do you want Joe Buck calling Avs games every week? Do you want Joe Buck calling the Broncos on KOA? No, you don't. You want Dave Logan. And congratulations, by the way, to Dave Logan's Cherry Creek Bruins, who on the last play from scrimmage take a strip 6 touchdown all the way 95 yards to beat Valor Christian by, was it 8? Something like that. I think there was. Did they take it all the way? Something was wild in that semifinal game where Valor had the ball in a goal-to-go situation and their quarterback got stripped, and they end up winning by like 7 or 8, something like that. So congratulations to Dave Logan. A long way to come back around to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want Al Michaels calling Broncos games. I don't want Gary Thorne calling Avalanche games. I want Connor McGahee and Mark Mosier calling Avalanche games. I want Dave Logan calling Broncos games. I want Jason Kosmiski calling Nuggets games and Chris Marlowe calling Nuggets games. I don't want Ernie Johnson doing those things. I know Ernie doesn't do play-by-play, but you get my drift.
Yeah, and let's keep in mind it's entertainment, and to your point, especially for the local broadcast, like I want personality. I want something different. I don't want it to be boring. I don't want it to be this like everything has to be straight laced and you're afraid of offending people. Obviously, I don't want anyone offended for anything like, completely rude. But for just, supporting the home team, like I want that personality. I want it to be fun. I want it to be different. I want it to be unique. If everything's cookie cutter, bland, the same, that's really boring. And I will say this one more, like when I saw Wallstedt's little celebration, I personally thought absolutely nothing of it. I get the hype, like I get being excited, but that's Connor. Connor just wears his emotions on his sleeve.
He sure
and
does.
You know what, man? I'm here for it. I like it.
A lot of goalies are doing that too.
Look, the skater's selly. Why can't the goalie selly? But if Connor wants to get, make a comment about it, then make a comment about it. I don't care.
Yeah, it was a weird situation after that mini game. Before we get out of here, your thoughts on the Minnesota game yesterday. It was excellent. You saw the best of Minnesota, which is Kirill Kaprizov paired with shrink it into the crease defense. I thought the Avs were great in the first. I thought they were even better in the third. I thought they got almost skated out of the building in the second period. They were good enough in overtime. And then once it got past overtime, I kind of stopped really caring at that point. But two hot hockey teams, two hot goaltenders, and you played essentially to a tie.
Yeah, Minnesota had won with 6-7 straight coming into that game, and here come the 10-game win streak Avs into your building. Like you get up for that. That's a benchmark game for Minnesota. Whereas, when you're catching a team after they've won 10 straight, that's actually kind of where you want them. Because they're going to break eventually. And Minnesota is the type of team that could have done it. And they did do it. And it took them 65 minutes plus. It was a great game, tightly contested. Goal of the game was Landeskog's goal. The Kaprizov's second goal was really nice. What a shot he has. What a one-time shot he has. I wouldn't pay him $17 million per, but he's a very good player. I thought Natchez' shootout goal is the best shootout goal I've seen an Avs player score in some time, in a long time. That was nifty from Natchez. Unfortunately, the Wild had 2 of them. And there you go. That's how you win that game. So, yeah, great hockey game. And we'll see him here in just under a month again. And I'm just hoping it's Minnesota-Dallas in the first round, and they can kick the shit out of each other.
Spring, again, another stat from McNicholas, the most points through 25 games in National Hockey League history, 43 by the Montreal Canadiens back in the middle of World War II. So let's scratch that one out. In modern history, the San Jose Sharks back in 2008-2009 went 21-3-1 for 43 points. The Boston Bruins, who we mentioned, who set a record back in 2023 with the most points and most wins in an NHL regular season, had 43 points with that same 21-3-1 record. The Avalanche now sit in second, 42 points. They are 18-1-6, the same exact record that the Philadelphia Flyers had back in 1980. The longest into a season with one regulation loss, those Philadelphia Flyers, who were 26-1-10 back in 1979-80. The Avalanche have now tied the Stanley Cup champions from 2013, the Chicago Blackhawks, who went 25 straight games with just one regulation loss. Chicago was 21-1-3. They would lose in their 26th game in regulation. The Avs now 18-1-6. They have an opportunity to hold on to sole second place for the longest streak with one regulation loss.
Yeah, they're tied with those 79-80 Flyers for in terms of fewest regulation losses. Now they're a point behind a couple of other teams in terms of overall points through the first 25 games. 3 teams with 43 points, Avs at 4 with only 42 points. Get your act together, Avs. But so they will, in terms of fewest regulation losses through 25 plus games. I don't know what Philly, I guess I don't know what Philly did in 79-80 in their 26th game of the season, but the Avs, I mean, I can't see a regulation loss on Tuesday night to the Canucks. So I think that they're going to have, barring something weird, just one regulation loss through November. Is that December? Are we in December on Tuesday?
We will be in December on Tuesday.
So I guess it's over. November's over now. But still, this will carry through December 2nd. Though they should be 19-1-6, maybe because of the Avs overtime play. If Vancouver somehow gets overtime, they could lose in OT. I cannot foresee a regulation loss. I mean, Wedgwood and Blackwood, they want to one-up each other right now. Well, that's a great spot to be in when each goaltender comes out the next night and is like, okay, I see what you did. Now I need to do it. So Wedgwood's going to be on his game on Tuesday night. Maybe Nichushkin does play on Tuesday night. That's not out of the realm of possibility. I cannot see a regulation loss on Tuesday through the first game of December.
Spring, I have KHL news from today. Would you like to hear it?
I saw a KHL highlight today. It involved a former Av.
In his first start in KHL action, Alexander Georgiev, the starting netminder for Spartak Moscow, posts an 88.2 save percentage, an 882. Tell me if a sub 900 save percentage feels right for Alexander Georgiev. En route to a 5-4 victory over Lada in the KHL. So Georgie won, but gave up 4 goals on 31 shots.
All right, so the Georgiev is back. The one highlight I saw was a very, recent vintage Georgiev highlight where he's trying to cover that short post and just looked lost. And this short side, nothing shot gets past him. How many of those did we see?
Too many.
Too many. But I'm rooting for you. You never know. I'm rooting for him. I am. Maybe he can find his way. He's still got plenty of years left. You look at what Wedgwood has done as he kind of climbed the ranks. Maybe this could be a comeback story for Alexander Georgiev. Got a win today, but I guess the number is still not off to a great start.
Not at all. Spring, it's going to do it for us today. Avs get a 3 of possible 4 points in the back-to-back. Pretty solid. They won't play until Tuesday when they host the Vancouver Canucks, and they head off for a 4-game road trip on the East Coast, starting in New York and finishing with Philly and Nashville is the 4th game, question mark?
Yep, Nashville, who's playing a little better of late, and Nashville will get the luxury of catching the Avs on the final game of a 4-game road trip. Sometimes those can be tricky, but it's still Nashville.
Broncos score tomorrow. What happens?
I got what did I say yesterday? I think I said 27-3, maybe 10. I can't remember what I said, but I think the defense carries them to victory. I just, with Surtain back especially, and how do you not rally around Alex Singleton on Sunday nights who's playing? The defense alone wins them that game.
I think I had like 31-13 Denver when we were talking on the show. Maybe it was 27-10 or something like that. I think they're going to win by 2 touchdowns. Washington without Jaden Daniels can't do anything. Terry McLaurin, you don't know if he's going to play, and even if he does, he's not healthy. Man, they should absolutely kill the Commanders tomorrow en route to what would be your 1 seed in the AFC. So that's Sunday Night Football at 6:20. But we're going to get out of here. Spring, enjoy your Sunday. We'll see you on Monday, people. Avs and Canucks Tuesday night. We'll be right back here at 10 p.m. Later.